In this video, we're going to discuss how you buy multiple properties, how that's possible, because many people ask us, how can your clients buy one apartment every year? How is that even possible that your clients receive so many different loans? And in this video, I will explain you how we do that and how a bank calculates or analyzes your situation to decide if you're eligible for another loan. So let's say you have a household net income of 6,000 euros. So this is the net income. Now a bank will look at your expenses and especially at your fixed costs. So let's say you have fixed costs of 2,000 euros. These are your costs, for example, for rent. Then they add another 1,000 euros flat on top. Typically, depends on the bank, but on average 1,000 euros for, let's say, other costs, not fixed costs, but costs like groceries, for example. Okay? So in the end, you have 3,000 euros plus if they look at your household situation, income minus expenses. So in the end, this is the most interesting number for the bank. How much money do you have left after all your expenses? If you have a child included, if there is a child included in the calculation regarding the costs, then they would typically add another 200 to 300 euros per child as costs. Okay? So let's say wife and husband are both working, both earn 3,000 euros net, so 6 in total, no children in that calculation. So in the end, the bank now looks at the property. So let's say you have 600 euros as rent, which means income. And you have, for example, 800 euros costs before taxes, because these costs are mostly tax deductible, but the bank looks at it typically before taxes. So you have minus 200 euros. So as long as you can afford investing another 200 euros, the bank will give you another loan. A bank typically doesn't look at the loan amount in total, because in the end, if they give you 200,000 euros loan, you will have at least a value of 200,000 euros because you have an apartment valued at 200,000 euros. If the real estate has this price but a lower value, a bank typically doesn't give you the loan. Because in the end, they want to have the security if they need to sell this apartment because you're unable to repay the loan, then they would receive at least the 200,000 euros. So they're on the safe side. So in the end, you have 200,000 euros asset, 200,000 euros liability, so zero, which doesn't affect your credit score that much. Okay? So if you have 200 euros left per month, you could easily buy apartments, as you can see here. What happens now in future? Let's say 3 years later, the property management increased your rent here, which means you have 800 euros income now. You have 800 euros costs. So in the end, zero. Which means in the end, you could easily buy one apartment every 3 years just by investing 200 euros per month, which is, in my opinion, the most conservative way actually to invest in real estate. Okay? Now you see, if you have 3,000 euros left regarding the mortgage situation, I don't see any problem buying one apartment every year. I don't see any problem because you have 200 euros. So in total, you will have, if you buy one apartment every 3 years, 600 euros less. After 3 years, You know, in the first year, in the fourth year, the apartment from the first year pays for itself. In the fifth year, the apartment you bought secondly pays for itself. So in the end, the 600 euros will remain the same, even if you own 10, 15 apartments, for example. And if you buy the 10th apartment, then this first apartment is already profitable, which means you have even a lower contribution on a monthly basis. So you see here, it is actually not a problem for the bank, because the bank doesn't have a risk here, and the bank especially doesn't have a risk here, because you invest 600 euros from 3, so they don't see any problem giving you another loan. Now let's briefly talk about home ownership. So let's say you buy a pretty apartment or a pretty house for your family, and because of current interest rates, you have a high mortgage repayment rate. Okay? So let's say you buy a bigger apartment and your loan amount is 3,000 euros. Or let's say the repayment rate, including the interest and the amortization. So you see here 3,000 euros. Now they say, okay, you might save 800 euros, 1,000 euros on rent, but then you just have 1,000 euros left if you save 1,000 euros. And then they will say, maybe one apartment is possible, but if the situation changes, 800 euros, sometimes the washing machine is broken and sometimes this or that happens. And then you might end up having one apartment where you live yourself, plus you potentially have one other apartment. And then it just takes longer and longer and longer. And what's now more beneficial? Buying 5, 6, 7, 8 apartments, and when you're done with that, you take the home ownership loan. Or you take the home ownership loan first, you need significantly more equity capital, and then you might buy one other apartment, and then it's over. So you end up having 2 apartments in comparison to having 10, 12, 14, 15 apartments, which changes your whole situation obviously drastically. So I would highly recommend waiting with the home ownership investment until the interest rates are falling. If the interest rate is falling, this is significantly cheaper, and then you can do it as you like. If you buy home ownership first and then you're getting started investing heavily in apartments to rent them out, if you do it the other way around, depends on your age, depends on your family situation, what's more beneficial from the emotional point of view. But in the current situation, I would highly recommend to avoid this investment here, if possible. Focus on these investments. You save some equity on the side for your home ownership investment, and if the interest rate is falling, you're taking action, and then you're considering buying a house or apartment to live in yourself there. But now you see that it's definitely achievable to buy one apartment every year if you are able to save enough equity to buy apartments. Equity, you probably know that from other videos if you have seen them, but I will mention it anyways. 200,000, you typically need 5.5 to 8.5% equity. Depends on the state in Germany where you buy. Let's take the center, 7%. So 14,000 euros for one apartment. If you are now able to save 14,000 euros a year, then you can buy one apartment every year. You're investing 200 euros, and then you're getting started. Okay, if you say, 14,000 euros sounds a bit much, well, you could also buy one apartment every 2 years or one apartment every 3 years. And you save some money on your bank account or on your Tagesgeldkonto. Tagesgeldkonto is an account with high interest. You save some money there, and so you are flexible and you're in the position to make a decision on home ownership when the interest rate is falling. This is how you plan real estate wealth. And now you also see how important it is that you start as early as possible, because the earlier you start buying the first apartment, the faster the cash flow becomes neutral, so you don't pay anything anymore, and the tenant is fully covering all your costs and in the end is building wealth for you. Yes, pretty interesting, pretty beneficial if you take advantage of this real estate opportunity. So if you would like to have help either planning your home ownership investment, creating a big real estate portfolio, or just to prepare yourself so you're in a position to buy real estate in the future, feel free to visit our website, register for a free initial consultation, and we will see what would be the best solution in your case. Take care and talk to you soon.